Alright, scope's all put together. I've already powered it up, done the voltage checks, smoke test, everything's fine. One problem that I have found is in the vertical section, and I'll show you what the display's doing here. So I've already got the unit plugged in and powered up to the line cord on at 120, and so we'll turn the unit on now. Alright, give it a second. So there's our trace coming up on the display, and there it goes. So we've got some problems in the vertical section. Right now it's set to cal, so it's sampling the an internal square wave, but you can see this kind of stretching on the vertical. I know it's in the vertical section. I've already isolated that. Pulled the vertical driver tubes, and when you do that, you get a nice straight, clean, horizontal trace because there's no vertical deflection. But so anyway, so here's what I found. So if you'll remember back on one of the earlier videos, I'm gonna try to turn this without shocking myself. You know, I like neat wire runs and harnesses. But anyway, so these two lines here, the this black and this white line, if you look on the schematic from the this is the vertical section here. What it does is those lines come off of this this input amplifier here. Each side there's a pair, triode, penode, input amplifier and drivers, and this is the black and the white line wire here that go to the vertical output tubes here to ultimately give you the vertical deflection on the CRT here and here. Now here's the problem. So this is that black and the white wire I just showed you, and I had them routed you know, nice through this little harness right here and up around the side and over the top to the these are the driver tubes, the vertical drivers here. You know, nice zip tied together. Well, it looks like those lines are interacting. They don't like to be in close proximity to each other. So if I kind of play around with them with my stick here, there you can see that moving these lines around gives me back my normal trace. So it looks like I've got some more work to do in the vertical, i.e. rewiring this section here. So I'm going to do that, and we'll do a follow-up once I get that done. I think I may you know, run one up this way and run the other one across maybe this way. Something I'll have to play around with it and see what gives me the you know, in the original layout, if you'll remember, if you go back and look at the one of the first videos, you know, one comes down here and the other one comes down a little bit farther over here. So I may do something similar to that again, just to get them separated. And I also went ahead and you probably can't see this, but I went ahead and here's the driver, the lines coming out of the drivers here, this purple and this this brown one down in there. So I went ahead and split those apart and separated them out too. So we'll get that rewired and we'll see if that improves our video. All right, thanks. All right, so this is another follow-up, this Eico 435 rebuild. This is part 4, and I have finished the all of the rebuild. So we'll just walk through real quick on this video, kind of overview of what's been done so far. So this is what I call the top side of the unit. It's really the vertical section, power supply. But as you can see, all new components, new electrolytics, new caps everywhere. Rebuilt the rebuilt the power supply section, rebuilt the high voltage power supply section with new 2000 volt rated filter caps. All new wiring, replaced all the wiring, all the old rubber insulated wire is gone that was in the unit. Even the little pieces down on the switch and the control panel, that's all gone. It's all been replaced with this with nice high voltage Teflon wiring. I guess the only original wiring other than the cloth coming off the transformer would be some of this low voltage filament wiring, which it was no reason really to replace that. It was all in pretty good shape, and but I did reroute, give it a good retwist on all the wiring, on all the filament lines, and kind of rerouted them, make sure they were tucked in close to the chassis, just to minimize any kind of noise from getting coupled into the system. What else? Let's see. So yeah, everything new resistors. I rewired this section. Of course, this is the vertical input section, and this is the vertical driver section. Well, these lines, this white and this black line here, if you'll remember back, originally I had them routed up somewhere like this through here, and sort of loomed really close together with zip ties over to here. Well, what ended up happening was the signals coming out of the vertical input section, the two signals on these lines were coupling with each other and giving me a really distorted vertical image on the CRT because of that coupling. So took all that out, redid it. Now they're separated. They're separated so that they don't couple, and they're kind of routed back. And now I understand why they were routed this way in the first place. It was to minimize that coupling. So I routed them back in a similar way that they were routed originally in the scope. This one, I just used some cable clamps to kind of hold that wire in place, and we used the empty terminal strip lug to sort of route that one through there. All right, and then of course with the units unplugged and it's all discharged, so we'll flip it over and look at the other side. So this is the horizontal section. Again, rebuilt, all new resistors, all new capacitors, everything here has been redone. It's the high voltage rectifier with some high voltage 2000 volt rated wiring for the high voltage, and of course new wiring on this side also, and kind of got it loomed up so it's a little neater. It's not quite a nest of mess like it was before. And then reloomed underneath also down here. There's a loom down there also, and split out these the vertical lines coming in from the vertical driver tubes, again for the same reason, for the coupling issue. Redid the AC line going to the power switch up there with some nice heavy duty line, and again tucked away just to minimize any noise that might get coupled into the system. Other than that, there's very little of the original components. Of course, the switches and the controls are all original, but very few components. Here's a capacitor that had to get reused because I didn't have a replacement on hand, and there's a couple of resistors and of course the trimmers and things. But other than that, that is it for this unit. So I'll be setting it up, going through the manual, setting up the bias and DC balance on the vertical section, making the adjustments that need to be made to get it back in spec. And I probably won't do a video on that. It's pretty boring, and it's really a lot of back and forth. But once I get the unit up in full run, and I'll get another video out just showing the unit in the finished state, and then from there we'll go on to the next part, which is going to be the conversion part. That's all. Thanks.